Good afternoon. My name is Kasondebo. I'm Professor of Urology. I am doing the practical this afternoon for the urinary system, particularly looking at the upper tracts, the kidney, and the ureter. Okay, so I have a couple of models here with me. So first of all, to start with, if we talk about the shape of the kidney has a C-like shape, okay? Or you'd say it's bean-shaped or it's kidney-shaped, right? So the one on the right is slightly in the actual abdominal cavity. The one on the right is slightly lower than the one on the left. And here is a model. Here's a torso. You will see that the model I have here, we are looking inside the abdominal cavity here. And right at the back is where the kidneys are located. The back of the abdomen is called the retroperitoneal area. If you look at the left kidney here, things have slightly been reversed when you're looking, but this is the left kidney. Or rather, this is the right kidney, and this is the left. The spleen is here. So the right kidney is slightly lower, maybe by 2 centimeters, than the right. Okay? Right, and it's right at the back in the abdominal cavity. So when we look at this model, we will see the measurements of the kidney. The kidney weighs about, if we were doing the dissection, you would take it out and weigh it. It weighs somewhere between 100 milligrams to 120 milligrams. Okay? It has got a few structures to which it is related. This gland here is the suprarenal or the adrenal gland, which is the same here. You will see that the two glands are slightly different. The one on the right is triangular in shape. The one on the left is semilunar in shape. Okay? One of the easy ways to remember this is to remember that the organ above the kidney on the right is the liver, which is triangular. The organ above the spleen on the right above the kidney on the right is the spleen, and the spleen is semilunar in shape. Okay? There are some few important structures on which the kidney sits. Okay, some of the important relations at the back. So if you look at the back here, you will see that the kidney sits on two big muscles. The psoas muscle, this big muscle here, and the quadratus lumborum muscle at the back here. These are the two important muscles on which the kidney sits. The kidney is not entirely straight, as you can see. It sits at a slight angle and is bent slightly. The upper pole of the kidney is slightly nearer the midline than the lower pole of the kidney. Okay? On top, I have removed all the important structures that pass in front of the kidney, but on this side, it would have been the duodenum, which is shaped like a C. On this other side, it would have been the pancreas, which comes across this way. And then the structure above here is the spleen. And here would have been the liver. And then here is the left hepatic flexure, and here the right hepatic flexure. So these are the two main, in the center here, as I said, on this side rather, the duodenum, which is C-shaped. Here we would have the pancreas sitting. So those are the structures, those are the relationships in front and the relationships behind. If you section the, in other words, if you cut it in this plane, which would be what plane? If you're cutting it across that, it will be the coronal plane. You'll find that this kidney can be opened like this, and you will see the inside. Remember that the kidney is primarily a filter. It has some important filters that we will see when we do the histology, and the filter is called the glomerulus. If you look at this kidney, you will see that its outer gray kind of color, that is the cortex. And the inner part here is the medulla. So it has the cortex on its outer bit here, and the red part here is the medulla. Okay? you will see that some pieces of the cortex dip into the medulla, and these are called renal columns. Okay, they dip into. And then the parts of the cortex right on top, which are called the arches of the cortex. So the cortex can be divided into arches and columns. And then, when you look at the medulla has pyramids, which are these red structures dipping into the center of the kidney. Then the kidney has collecting tubes which receive the urine once processed, because the urine is in these small filters which are found here in the cortex, and then it's processed and comes out through here as through the renal papillae. Okay, the renal papillae, these little collection funnels here. So from the medulla it goes into the renal papillae, and the renal papillae have funnels which are called the minor calyces. The minor calyces receive, so you think of the pyramids are little triangular, and the minor calyces as little cups receiving all the urine. Remember, what's happening is the blood is going through this structure and it's being cleaned out through the glomeruli, which are found here, which are like filters. And then when it goes through these little cups, when the cups join, they become bigger, and they're called the major calyces. So the small cup is one, or the minor calyx, and when the cups increase, like this is one, this is another one, they fuse to form the major calyx. And then eventually they join the pelvis, and when the pelvis comes out as a ureter, that collects urine and secretes it out. Okay? So that's a little bit about the kidney. Now, if we talk about the blood supply to the kidney, we can see here, you can see here the blood supply to the kidney on this model. It has, what you see here in front are the renal veins in blue. Okay? There is the right renal vein, which is short, compared to the left renal vein, which is longer. Because this vein, the inferior vena cava, is more on the right side, as opposed to the aorta, which is more on the left side. Remember, the heart is mostly on the left side. So, and so the aorta is more on the left. So it's important to remember that the renal veins are in front of the arteries. And so when you're doing an operation to remove the kidney, you sometimes have a little bit of a problem, because you often want to ligate the artery first, or tie off the artery first before you remove the kidney. So these are the two structures, the renal vein and the renal artery. The renal arteries are better seen at the back. You can see these two, the renal artery, the right and left renal artery. Okay, so we can talk about the ureter. If we look at the model, this model here, we will be able to see the ureters. The ureters are these pink tubes. They run from the pelvis all the way into the bladder. They're about 25 centimeters in length on both sides. Okay? You can see that there are a few structures that cross the ureter. These are the gonadal vessels on this side, the left and right gonadal vessels cross the ureter on this side. And here, where the ureter comes down into the pelvis, this is the pelvic rim, it crosses the common iliac vessels. Okay? And when you're doing an operation in urology like I do, this is where you would find the ureter, just at the junction, at the pelvic junction where it crosses. That's somewhere where you can find it easily if you're trying to do an operation. Okay? Here on top, it is also crossed by the duodenum on the left, on the right here, and also by the duodenum on the right here. Okay? And then when it goes down into the pelvis, one of the risky places where the ureter sometimes gets injured or compressed is where it crosses it is crossed, or it is crossed by the uterine artery, the artery that supplies the uterus. I don't know whether we'll be able to see it here. It's very deep in the pelvis here, and we may not be able to see that particular. So here, let me show you the ureter and how it runs its course using this model here. You can see that the ureter starts from the pelvic area here and goes all the way down, crosses the common iliacs and goes round to the back of the bladder and enters at the trigone of the bladder at the back there. Okay. What is important to know about the ureter is that it's about 25 centimeters in length. It has a diameter of about half a centimeter to about 1.5 centimeters in diameter. So anything that is larger than that will get blocked. So particularly what we see are small stones. They can get blocked as they try to leave the kidney. Now there are 3 areas of narrowing, and usually these are areas of transition. As the pelvis changes to the ureter here at the pelvic-ureteric junction is the first area of narrowing. Here where it crosses the common iliac vessels is the second, and then here at the uretero-vesical junction where it enters the bladder is the third area. Okay, so that's the practical on the kidneys and the ureter, the upper tracts. The key things that you want to remember is the location of the kidney, the shape of the kidney, the weight of the kidney, what it looks like and, in the coronal section, and then also the ureter, its location, its length, its width, the areas of narrowing. That should be sufficient for you to do the practical. Okay, thank you very much and bye-bye.